Have you ever wanted to be the first to know if aliens really exist? Well, with Nebula, you can be! Nebula is the streaming service that's home to It's Probably Not Aliens, as well as our YouTube channels. And the best part? All of our content goes up early on Nebula. So when we break first contact with ET, you'll be the first to find out. That's right, you'll be able to listen to the next episode of this show before anyone else. Plus, we post bonus content that you won't find any other place. And the best part? By signing up for Nebula at nebula.tv/probablynotaliens, you're directly supporting the show and both of us. So don't wait any longer. Join Nebula today and be the first to know if this time it really is aliens.
About to turn 33.
Oh boy, I remember when you were agonizing about turning 30. We've been doing this show a while.
We've been doing this show for a while, since I think I was 29.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Forgot, yeah, your birthday's in August, so that's next month.
Birthday's in August.
So it's your anniversary.
What are you gonna get me, Tristan?
33, I think, is the, let me see. It's amethyst.
Nice.
So you want purple rocks?
I would love purple rocks. Purple's my favorite color. Yes,
hey,
please.
It's up there with mine too. I think it is my favorite color.
Awesome. I would love that. I always had this idea in my head, and the time's coming. All right. If I make it past 33, there's still time left that I might not. But if I do, I'm going to beat Jesus.
Interesting. That's the one you went
with.
Okay.
I'm going to beat him. I'm going to beat him. Take that. Live longer than the Son of God.
I have the same birthday as Jimi Hendrix, and so I remember on my 28th birthday, I put a little note in my calendar that said "lived longer than Jimi Hendrix."
That's also good. Who would win in a fight, Jimi Hendrix or Jesus? Go.
I think Jimi Hendrix. At least he's got the. I feel like he's got more energy. He probably had a more balanced diet growing up.
If they were going amp versus amp, I mean, of course it's Jimi Hendrix, of course.
Yeah, Jesus very rarely shreds in the Bible.
No, he is shredded, according to some crosses that I've seen at my local churches. Like, Jesus pretty ripped himself, but I've never seen him pick up the old 6-string.
Yeah, I guess Jesus, they had creatine back in ancient Judea, and... Dude never missed doing crunches and dehydrated himself before his crucifixion, so that it was nice and
loved it.
Get that what's it called, that Marvel movie shine.
Oh yeah, gotta get that dehydrated physique going. If Hugh Jackman can do it, and he's like 70, then Jesus could clearly do it.
I do love that Hugh Jackman specifically did Logan because he was like, I'm fucking done with the workout regime of doing this. I don't want to do specifically this anymore because I just imagining living the lifestyle that because if you're a Marvel person, you actually I think anyways that they any superhero or action hero person between the movies gets paid to basically make working out their full-time job. And a lot too. And so you can't do it past a certain time. That's why they always burn out, because the lifestyle you have to live to look like a Marvel person is obscene.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and so he gets
unless your Marvel person is Iron Man, and then you don't have to do that. Robert Downey Jr. does not have to look like Chris Hemsworth.
The only thing
that's a privilege that he has.
He gets that privilege, and in return, he has to do all of the shots where he has to stick his head in his shoebox.
Yeah, that's true.
I always think of the shots when he's doing his his heads up display things where they're doing the close up on his face, and I'm like, oh, he had to put his head in his shoebox, and it's pretend do this, looking around.
Just do that. The behind the scenes is really, I think it's just him on a stool in front of a green screen. It's very boring.
But yeah, why are we talking about 33 today? Is a question
Why are we talking about 33? I'm not there yet. Let's not rush things.
Have you been on TikTok? Okay, first of all, do you spend time on TikTok looking up absolutely unhinged, stupid shit?
No, but my wife does and shows me things at the end of the day. It's a part of our routine.
We do the same thing, except I am the I am the TikTok collector, and Kelly is the
curator.
Yeah, I'm the curator. One of the things I do not show for Kelly is all of the insane pseudoscience. Like, what's it called? We could make a whole podcast just on weird shit on like weird ahistoric like pseudoscientific bullshit on TikTok alone. And one of them is one of the ones that's kind of popped off in recent years. It comes up now and again. Had a lot of familiarity with me because it also showed up in the episode of Ancient Aliens on angels, and so I was like, oh, let's delve into that a little bit. And then as I delved into it, I was like, oh, this has serious geopolitical ramifications for current wars. So,
okay, cool. Sounds like a nice breezy topic for us to talk about.
Yeah, so we're talking about specifically this theory.
Okay.
Here's what millions of people around the world believe.
Well, hold on. What is this?
What is this podcast? That's a good way to start. Yeah,
this is a podcast called "It's Probably Not Aliens."
The game show. The game changes every show.
Yes, I'm one of the co-hosts, Scott Nicewander. I know nothing, but I will tell you that I am currently drinking sangria, which is not my favorite, and it's not, and that's it. It's just not my favorite, but I am drinking it.
I am Tristan Johnson, and I am currently enjoying Powerhouse Brewing Company's Low Voltage Cream Ale. Brewed just here in London over at 100 Kellogg, a brew pub that I've been to many times and enjoyed. So
now, why are we drinking? It has nothing to do with this episode. It is actually because after we're done recording this episode, I, Scott, not Tristan, just me, am going to have to sit down and watch a famed right-wing pundit Ben Shapiro's Superman review, which is terrible. It's god-awful. He knows nothing about Superman. And I'm getting drunk to sort of pregame. And I just happened to be pre-gaming while we're also recording an episode. And Tristan was generous enough to join me in my endeavors. Just drinking. He's not going to watch Ben Shapiro with me.
I'm drinking because I remembered I have to go to work tomorrow.
Perfect. We don't normally drink when we record these, but this is a special occasion.
Yeah, so, okay. So let's talk about Mount Hermon.
There we are.
Millions of TikTokers around the world believe in something.
At least dozens.
Yeah. Something called the Mount Hermon conspiracy, because if you look at Mount Hermon, you'll see that it sits at the latitude 33 degrees 24'58 north and 35'51'27 east.
I do not know how to read. Latitude and longitude.
Me
neither. Is that feet? Is that 51 feet?
No, I think it's like, I think
inches?
I think it's actually feet and inches in like a sort of like, I don't know for sure, but that is the symbols they're using there. And
it can't be feet and inches because it is 24 feet, 58 inches. 58 inches is more than 1 foot. They would have to be more feet involved. I do not know how to read longitude and latitude coordinates.
Let's consult.
Let's learn together.
So, okay. It can be expressed in different formats. And so what it will be called is degrees, minutes, and seconds. So it is 33 degrees, 24 minutes, 58 seconds. There we go.
Okay. Look at us. This is why you tune into this podcast specifically. It's because we tell you up front that we don't know things.
Yeah.
But we learn.
And we try to find out.
And we try to find out.
So at 33 degrees, 24 minutes, and 58 seconds north, and 35 degrees, 51 minutes, 27 seconds east, sits Mount Hermon, which is, according to ancient astronauts and millions of people around the world, the epicenter of a supernatural coordinate system that spans the globe. And that is bad because according to this, Roswell and several other key places all sit at this 33rd parallel.
Oh.
Yeah, we're doing this again.
Oh, yeah, I remember a 33rd parallel. Okay, yeah, we're back.
We're back, baby. So let's go into a little bit more detail about this actual talk, because it has a lot of implications for all sorts of things, including wars that are happening right now.
Right at this moment.
Yeah. So why don't we begin with what Mount Hermon is? If you are to read best-selling hit The Bible, there's a group of 200 fallen angels called Watchers who descended to Earth from Mount Hermon's summit. Those angels then took the oath together to bound themselves in a solemn promise to take human wives and corrupt humanity. You know,
oh dang, this is the plot of Superman.
Yeah, they take many wives.
This is the plot of the new Superman movie.
But on top of that, this is the Nephilim stuff. This is just we're coming through that plot line of ancient aliens again.
Yeah.
They also
now, Tristan, you've seen the new Superman movie by James Gunn.
I saw it on Sunday night. Yeah.
When they mention that Superman may have a secret harem of women that he's impregnating with his super DNA to rule the planet and stuff like that. Were you like me and my wife Emily, where we were like, how can we get in on that? I feel like the entire metropolis and the entire world of Earth in that movie was like, hey, that's no good. That's bad that he's doing that. Whereas we in the audience were like, no, okay, let's hear him out.
Superman is Polly, everybody. Yeah, that was quite. I know what they were trying to do, but but yeah, it was that was something. Okay, so according to ancient astronaut theorists and a bunch of other people, Jesus also did his transfiguration at Mount Hermon. So that's when he went to heaven, I guess, after he came back from the dead.
Yeah, that's true. According to Bible. According to Bible, that's true.
Yeah. And according to Bible, also, Jesus died being 33.33 years of age.
I'm going to get him.
And
beat him.
And then he went
Wait, so I can't even... Hold on. You're telling me that it's not enough that I live to 33. I have to live to 33 and then
and a third.
4 additional months?
Well, it's not like he was murdered on his birthday. The Last Supper was actually his birthday party. He was at a Red Lobster, and they were coming in.
All right, fine. When I'm 34, for sure I'll beat him. For sure I'll have him.
Yeah. Sometime in December, if you make it New Year's, just say New Year's.
Yeah, if I make it to 2026.
Which, I mean, given this world, who
knows?
Who knows?
It's a toss-up.
But yeah, so Jesus died at 33.33 years of age. He went to the top of Mount Hermon at 33.3 at 33.33 on the 33rd parallel. A thing I already debunked by mentioning earlier that it's not at 33.33, but whatever.
That is true. Well, quick debunking.
But yeah, Mount Hermon's location being at 33.4163 degrees north latitude makes it part of a worldwide, quote, let's see if we remember this one, energy grid that connects supernatural events across history, because we're back to the Earth is a D20, baby!
That's right. Earth's a D20. We got world grid theory popping up. We got ley lines. We got lines connected to other lines. Everything is lines.
So for those who don't know why we're doing this, because you haven't watched 130 plus episodes of this podcast, one of the established ancient aliens canon lore aspects is that the Earth is covered in lines of energy that major monuments, places, locations are situated at. And that they did so because they were built on powerful magical energy lines that then are used to power ancient advanced civilizations. Yes. So they believe that Mount Hermon was on one of those grids.
Awesome.
Yeah, and they argued that this theory creates a link between Mount Hermon and Roswell, New Mexico, which is located at 33.39 degrees north latitude. And
fair enough.
Because they both sit on the 33rd parallel, it's a gateway for extraterrestrial and supernatural beings. So Mount Hermon and Roswell, New Mexico, those are the two big ones.
The two places you wouldn't think would pop up in the same sentence, but do frequently, apparently.
There's also pointing that the 509th Composite Group, which was a group that dropped atom bombs on Japan, were also stationed near the 33rd parallel.
Okay. And that means?
That it's evidence of ongoing supernatural influence over modern warfare.
Oh, okay. So like normal stuff. Gotcha.
Other sites like Phoenix, which has is claimed to have a psychic vortex being at 33.4484, or Hiroshima being at 34.38 degrees north, and other locations form meaningful patterns while using tolerances of up to 3.3 degrees, which, by the way, is 370 kilometers to fit their theory.
That's so. Not only are they giving themselves a wide tolerance of 370 kilometers between these lines, but also the fact that they're like, yeah, and the tolerance is 3.3 degrees. Do you get it? Do you get it? It's 33 again. Oh, we're so clever.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the claim. That's what we're working with. Are all of these interesting sites that they claim are important connected because they all happen to be in this same like 370 kilometer band around the world?
I mean, yes, right? Of course they're connected.
Would you believe that maybe not?
What? All right, I demand to know more immediately without any interruptions.
Well, I do have to tell you a little bit about. I mean, we talked about beer, but there's other products and services that make that. Unlike Powerhouse Brewing Company, actually pay for this podcast. So maybe we should go with them first and then come back, and then we can talk about why that might be wrong. I don't know.
All right, we'll talk about all this later.
Hey, you know that feeling of total exhaustion you get from being online? That sense of powerlessness against an endless wave of grifters and bad faith arguments? Well, that's by design. The whole environment of online spaces right now is engineered to make you feel angry and overwhelmed to increase engagement metrics. This is like not some conspiracy thing. They've literally said that anger is one of the most evocative emotions and helps with increasing engagement metrics, which means more ads, which means more revenue. But it also wears you down and reduces your ability to fight back against, well, gestures widely. And that's why we, at It's Probably Not Aliens, decided to build our own spaces. And it's one of the many, many reasons why this show is on Nebula. Nebula is a streaming service built and owned by me and a ton of other creators you already trust. Think of it as a curated library for thoughtful videos built from the ground up to be a better experience. It's a place for exclusive content without ads, designed to arm you with ideas, not exhaust you. It's also the single best way to support this show. As a thank you, all our podcast episodes go up a week early on Nebula, and we do an exclusive full-length Q&A episode there every single season. Now, for those of you who are in this for the long haul, I also want to mention the lifetime plan. The price for that just went up to $500, but our link still gets you lifetime access for $300. You pay once, and you are done. It's a huge way to support independent creators, and that's what we're building. Plus, if you're like me and tired of the subscriptions, this is a way to just pay once and never think about it again. You have Nebula forever. So whether you want to go monthly or join for life, turn that frustration into action. Start building something better with us. You can sign up at go.nebula.tv/probablynotaliens. The link is right there in the show notes. Join us. It's worth it.
You got to the ad quicker than I was expecting.
Yeah.
Did you need another beer?
Yeah, it's hot in here.
All right, I'll get a refill. Oh boy.
Okay, so let's use one of the most interesting and fascinating fields in the world that keeps everybody awake and happy to talk about debunking this, and that is using math.
Fun.
Like Action Man, we're going to use math to save the day. Did you guys have Action Man? Is that a Canadian thing?
No, I don't know who you're talking about.
I think it was an extremely short-lived cartoon about a guy who was like he could basically do the math and probabilities in his head so that he could do interesting, do crazy stunts and stuff like that. But it was like with the power of math, he's able to quickly do the calculations in his head to
he's like an Evel Knievel type.
He was more like a commando type guy.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let's first talk about how precise they might be. So the theory claims that Mount Hermon sits at 33.33, but the actual direction is 33.4163, which is 0.0837 degrees difference. That's conveniently of ignored.
Oh, you say it's conveniently ignored. Have you forgotten that they allowed themselves a 3.3 degree tolerance?
Yeah.
For reasons. They just decided that they could have that tolerance for some reason.
Mm-hmm. So if you were to do proper statistical analysis to try and figure out whether or not they were aligned, you would use standard deviation. So a standard deviation in this case would probably be about 100 kilometers or 62 miles American. So let's see. So these aligned sites from the 33rd parallel would the actual amount of tolerance you could have to say that they're aligned would not be 3.33 degrees. It would be about 0.82 degrees, about 91 kilometers or 57 miles. And
that's good though, right? That's better.
But the thing is that a standard like that is not how far. The distance is more than that.
Okay.
Well, so it's not. Either ways, it's not precise. The gap is too big.
Gap is too big.
We're talking about like 100-ish kilometers or 60-ish miles of like distance between these sites, which is not that close. There's also some tolerance manipulation because they accept deviations that range all the way from 0.1 degrees to 3.3, which is about a 370 kilometer or 230 mile tolerance that ancient builders didn't use decimal degrees to achieve. So,
yeah. It does seem a little weird that they recognize, like, it would be awesome if all of these lined up within, like, on the line, right? Like, all together on this line within even 1 degree. But the fact that they have conveniently allowed themselves 3.3 degrees of tolerance.
Especially if you were doing something like, say, I don't know, trying to line up these buildings to match a natural phenomenon like these ley line patterns that they claim that they're lining them up with. Otherwise, then you could just build them in all sorts of places, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, why don't we have 33 degrees of tolerance? Why don't we have a full 33 degrees of tolerance? Then we can make so many more connections.
333. It could just be anywhere on Earth.
Yeah. Honestly, there's no reason we can't stop at 3. Why do we have to stop at 3.3? Let's keep going. Let's make it bigger. We actually have I don't even know what the biggest amount is. We have a 3,000 degree. I don't even think Earth has 3,000
multiple times. No, I think it's about 360 degrees.
Well, there you go.
It's like a circle.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. The other thing, too, is that many of their faves just kind of get dropped so that because it doesn't fit this... it doesn't fit this pattern. Like the Giza pyramids, which are located at 29.98 degrees north, or Machu Picchu, which is at negative 13.16 degrees south, Stonehenge, which is at 51.18 degrees north, or Angkor Wat, which we haven't talked about yet, but we should at some point, which is at 13.41 degrees north, and have a mean distance of 21.92 degrees from the 33rd parallel. So a lot of their like favorite big examples don't seem to line up. Like the Giza pyramids aren't aligned to this, and you would think that they would argue that is the case.
This is what I'm saying. Why stop at 3.3 degrees tolerance if they just made it 33 degrees tolerance? Then all of those would fit in. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and another thing that we talked about in the last time we talked about world grid theory, you can also do the math very quickly to show that you can make lines to basically show anything, because if you're going to be taking archaeological sites, we have over 10,000 of those around the world. And so finding alignments is almost guaranteed. There's something called the Monte Carlo simulation that show that these patterns can emerge literally in random data. So a Monte Carlo simulation is a way to simulate a way to model probability of different outcomes in a process that can't be easily predicted due to random variables. So this is like, if you're dealing with data that has a lot of noise, it's a way to create different types of simulation to, like, what you'll do is you'll do a bunch of simulations, see which one like matches up closest with the kind of outputs you're seeing in the real world, and then you can kind of make comparisons using, random sampling and repeated calculations, and you try to like estimate possible results. Then the method, so you run a model many times, often thousands or millions of times, using random values and uncertain inputs. And then the results show a range of possible outcomes and their likelihood rather than a single best guess. So this is used often in things like, you probably figure, like the biggest one that you probably know is elections. Like you probably seen when you like go and see like 538 or something like that, you'll see like, oh, like this person has a 28% chance of winning because we've run like 1,000 different types of ways that this way could break. And this is like it came out this way, this many times, and this way.
That's fair. I actually didn't know that's how they did those. Tristan, I honestly just thought it was vibes. I just thought they were like, I don't know, 28 sounds right to me.
Well, what they do is for specifically like 538, for example, even though, you know, there's issues with 538's methodology, but they take like the sort of horse race polls in all the different states and they compare the results of those polls based on how accurate they've been in the past and give them a sort of weight based on that. And then with that like error rate, they then find like the range of possible states that all the things could be. They then run a bunch of simulations with all of these different polls being at different levels of right and wrong, and then see what the like, you know, thousands of results or millions of results come out with, and then roughly percentage wise then can estimate like kind of how things will break out.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This is also used in things like finance. It's done in engineering. It's done in science. It's done in risk analysis. It's just a way to try to understand things that are uncertain systems and make better decisions.
Gotcha. An actuary. Would an actuary use this sort of stuff?
Probably. I don't know if they use simulations. I know that actuarial science has like its own, I think it has its own math, but this might be part of that system.
Okay.
But a lot of ways it's about trying to, when like you're dealing with a system that could have a whole lot of different variables and a lot of different things could happen, this way you will come out with like this sort of like, this is the range of things that could happen and how likely each outcome is to be. And you can make your decisions based on that.
All right.
Yeah. So then there's the other thing is that if you look at like the historical and religious representation of this period in history, you'll notice that, and I thought this was really cool because I didn't even know about this entire period of history, but when I heard it, I was like, of course, this is a thing that they had to deal with, is that everything that had to do with like the Watchers and like Mount Hermon and everything like that was written around the time of the Book of Enoch, which was a text written around the years 200 to 50 BCE, which was a time when you saw a lot of apocalyptic literature showing up in Judea at this period because they were trying to explain the origin of evil. And the reason is because this was a period in which, ancient Judea was invaded by Alexander the Great's army.
I've heard of this guy.
After Alexander the Great conquered the region, they put like a bunch of Greek people in charge. And so they were dealing with like Greek rulers in this region. And I'm like, of course, I didn't even realize that Alexander the Great would have gone through that part of the Middle East as well. Of course. There's also just the fact that like the longitude and latitude system wasn't invented until relatively recently, long after these buildings were built. And so like...
Yeah, but they would have known, right? They would have known. I think everything I've learned from ancient aliens and pseudo-archaeology, all this stuff that we talk about on this podcast a lot, is that ancient civilizations, they just knew where to put things properly so it would line up with other cultures.
Literally vibes.
Very much vibes.
Yeah. So like the modern coordinate grid that we use where we get numbers like 33.33 was developed in the 18th century. So like the 1700s. So
they were
the significance
of
Jesus being 3.33 and like, you know, the mountain being at 3.33 by 3.33, like all of that would have no significance because it all happened over 1,000 years before the actual numbers that would have made that relevant were even invented. And as we've kind of talked about, I think we've talked about this in the show before, but like when it comes even to like map projection and like longitude and latitude, that is based on a singular culture's idea of the world. And like there's it's based on like, it could have been like, I wonder if like, you know, Mount Hermon doesn't line up and have all these interesting numbers if you go by like the ancient Turkish longitude and latitude, which was all based around Mecca being the sort of like place that everything branched out from. Or
that's a good point. Does it line up if you use my map that has a big ice wall around everything?
yeah, this definitely runs like there's got to be like the big debate in this circle would be like, no, it all lines up at latitude 33.33, and they're like, no, because the Earth is flat, so it doesn't have latitudes.
It doesn't have latitudes or things like that. That is actually an interesting question. Flat earthers, like, they just can't believe in this stuff because, I mean, I'm sure they do. But, like, if you draw what it would be effectively a straight line between points on a map that you and I have access to, like, like a standard sort of modern day map that
I have a globe literally in the background.
A globe. I've got a map of the United States right there behind me that was from my grandma's classroom. It wouldn't work on a flat Earth because they would all be curved lines, not straight lines, because by flattening it, all of it.
I mean, not to be a defender of flat Earth people, but they would probably see them as concentric circles.
All right, that's true.
Yeah.
Never mind. Look, they'll find a way to believe in it.
Yeah, conspiracy finds a way. The other thing too is that the place, like Mount Hermon, has 20, even more than 20 legitimate temple sites there. It has a lot of like, to say that, like, the likelihood that, like, the Watchers are aliens that showed up. The thing is that, like, Mount Hermon has a long history of being a sacred site that predates the Book of Enoch and, like, the period of the Watchers. Yeah. And so, like, it's already a place that had, like, sacred significance to people who lived there of various, like, religions and such. So it sticks out. So that is just, it doesn't fit. So so that will pivot right into, like, what actually is Mount Hermon and what's its deal.
I would love to know. I already know that it's quite progressive because it could have been Mount Hermon, but it said no, we're about her.
Okay, I'll take it. So let's talk.
Man, I'm mostly through this glass of sangria. Okay, I'm trying here.
Yeah. No worries. You gotta watch Ben Shapiro in a little bit.
I gotta prepare myself for Ben Shapiro calling crypto a bad dog.
That's pretty rough.
He calls crypto the super dog a bad dog multiple times, unironically.
We're taking this. We're recording this at, like, peak Superman discourse right now, and so we'll see what comes out of the other end. Okay, so Mount Hermon also had the name Baal Harmon by the ancient Canaanites, which means Lord of Hermon, and has a lot of religious significance because it's really tall. And one of the things that would stick out as being very interesting in the Middle East is that its peak has snow all year round, which also means it becomes a source of fresh water. And the mountain did serve very often as a territorial boundary marker. I'll put a pin in that because that one's important. And so it also ended up becoming probably, if you are a believer in the Bible, the site of Jesus's transfiguration. Because of its proximity to something called Caesarea Philippi, which was an ancient city at the base of Mount Hermon known for being a place of religious significance and pagan worship. This place had a cave and a spring that was believed by ancient pagans to be a, quote, gate to the underworld or the gates of hell, where fertility gods like Pan were thought to travel between worlds, which we've seen a lot in a lot of cultures where people believe that cave systems are like the path to the underworld or the afterlife or something like that.
That makes sense. Yeah, we've talked about it before. Big caves, big tunnels, the big underground.
So they believe that these caves were literally the way you got to hell. Yeah. So pagan rituals included sacrifices or what, in the Bible were called immoral acts to honor gods such as Pan. Some stories included offerings into the cave's waters to determine acceptance by the gods. The city was surrounded by numerous temples to various gods, including Baal and the Greek god Pan. And in the new, which, again, because like new gods like the Greek gods are being implemented here, that's considered no bueno to the ancient Israelites. Yeah, and in the New Testament, Jesus visits the area with his disciples and uses that dramatic pagan backdrop to discuss his identity and the foundation of the church. So it's a significant book in the Bible. And in the New Testament,
sure is.
And over time, the city was rebuilt and renamed by rulers such as Herod, who you might remember.
I'm familiar with Herod.
Yeah, and later became a Greco-Roman administrative center. So it's also just like an important place geographically because there's a lot of people there and a lot of stuff going on. Archaeological excavations have also uncovered temples, shrines, Roman architecture, showing that the city has like a lot of layered religious and cultural history. So, Caesarea Philippi is important.
I mean, sounds like it.
And not just to Christians. There are lots of religious sites for Christians. Maronites, Orthodox, Catholics, and evangelicals all have like stuff there, but also Sunnis do, and which is one of the major subgroups of Islam. But also the Druze have a important site, which is Druze are sort of they're a religious minority that I don't remember if they're Abrahamic or not, but they have like. They're not Christians, they're not Muslims, they're not Jews, but they're really only like really big in like this sort of area, which is like around Syria, Lebanon, Israel, that area. And so like, yeah, it just like the reason why all this stuff happened is because it was already a significant site for various different reasons for a very long history. Not because it like, there's
magically lined up with a line.
Yeah, exactly. Like by the time the Book of Enoch is written, where they talk about the Watchers, where the Watchers show up in the historical records, it was already an important place.
So much stuff already happened. Yeah, exactly. There was a long list of history, or rather, herstory, as we're continuing to be more progressive here.
Hermenstory. It would be like
King Herod. I'm glad it's not King Hisrod. It's Herod. Thank you very much.
Oh my god. So like it'd be like if in the United States, if like somebody like say like 1,000 years from now decides to make decides to build a new religion, and they have it so that they say that Watchers descended upon the island of Manhattan, and then everyone's like, wow, why do you think that, there must be something special about Manhattan that meant that these angels arrived and did the thing? And everyone's like, well, no, it was a major metropolitan area for like thousands of years.
Yeah, Manhattan kind of had its own thing going on for a while. Yeah.
Exactly. And so the reason that this stuff kind of works is because, as we kind of talked about before, like we have something called apophenia, which is just that like human brains, much like large language models, mostly because they're designed the same way, we hallucinate and we see connections where there aren't connections before.
Man, we love making connections. We love seeing patterns in things, finding patterns, finding connections. That's what we do.
Mm-hmm. There's even a really great video that shows about how like the AI hallucinations are actually not that dissimilar from the way that we hallucinate, because it's about them seeing patterns, like over recognizing patterns where there aren't patterns, which apparently is also the kinds of things that happen when we hallucinate. Yeah.
Who did that video? Plug the video.
Oh yeah, I gotta find it because I remember finding her channel and it's really good. I talked about her a couple weeks ago because she was talking about she like had a channel that was all about cats and then like hard pivoted into like what she called slightly haunted video essays. I gotta find it though for.
Yes, we were talking about it off mic, so I just wanted to make sure that it was on mic.
Mm-hmm. I gotta find it. Yeah, it was really good. Okay. The channel's called Sarah Davis Baker, and the video is called "The Uncanny Horror of AI Hallucinations." Very good.
Nice.
Good channel overall. Highly recommend. And she only has 56,000 subscribers, so let's get that number up.
Let's get that number up.
Yeah. So we are pattern-seeking people, much like a neural network, because we are both made of neurons. And so we see patterns where there aren't patterns. And we also just have a bad intuitive understanding of statistical probability.
Speak for yourself. Action Man had a pretty good understanding.
Yeah.
From what I know.
But like that is like another thing about like I think that we picked up over time is that like how one of the things that we're like uniquely bad at is like estimating how likely something is to happen. Case in point, people still buy lottery tickets. People still gamble.
That's true. Now, am I going to Vegas in a couple months? Yes. Am I going for a wedding in the family? Yes, that is true. Will I gamble? Probably not. Will I go see a magician? Hopefully. I would love that.
Last time I was there, I saw the Blue Man Group, and it was pretty great.
Oh, that sounds awesome. I'm so bummed Penn and Teller aren't going to be there when I'm visiting. Oh, dang. I would love to see them.
Okay, best. Here's the best. Here's the Las Vegas hack. That is great.
All right.
Video poker. So video poker. They have these machines everywhere. Find a nice, comfortable spot where video poker is.
All right.
And then every like minute, 2 minutes, put the absolute minimum bet into the machine and just let it do its thing.
Let it go.
Sit there long enough, the free drinks to keep you gambling stuff comes in. And if you can keep you're looking like you're gambling just good enough, the amount of money that you are raking in through like the free drinks and stuff like that will be offset by you're gonna get more than you would have paid for just getting for the drinks just by sitting there and gambling.
Yeah.
And if you do it for a long time, if you have a good amount of patience, sometimes you'll get free buffet.
Then you might be an alcoholic, and then you have other.
But you might get buffet access, which.
Oh, I like that idea too.
Yeah. So if you do have like an afternoon that you're spending in Las Vegas and you want to get the casino experience without wasting your money because gambling is for people who don't have a good understanding of probability, which as we've turned out is most people. Just
it's
follow.
Also for fun. People can do it just for fun.
Yeah,
I don't do it, but some people say they do it for fun.
I don't know. Gambling's everywhere these days, and I feel like it's really bad for you.
Yeah, not for me.
But if you go to a casino, that is the casino, the top casino meta game for getting the vibe in, but also getting a lot of free drinks.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. So we also have a thing where conspiracy theorists will use what's called azimuthal projections to make these great circles appear like straight lines, not realizing that they're not straight lines because it's based on a projection of the way the world. Because as we pointed out, longitude and latitude, the way that it works out, if you project a map, it creates because you can't put a three-dimensional object on a 2D thing
flatly on a
yeah. Everything has to be like warped in order to be the right size. That's why Greenland looks in an azimuthal projection.
Mm-hmm.
Greenland looks huge.
Yeah.
The 33 degrees thing only makes sense if you are looking at the world in like an explicitly warped way. Same with the flat Earth, honestly.
Yeah. Turns out the only actual way to look at the Earth in a way that represents it represents the planet most realistically is a globe.
Mm-hmm. Turns out. Yeah. The other also terms like you'll find out is what they'll do is they will find a pattern and then they will just take all of the things that line up with the pattern and put it and say that lines up instead of including everything and then seeing if they all line up, which is cherry picking and selection bias and everything.
Sure is.
And then they'll also just appeal to things that seem like they're credible because they have authority, like using academic styled language, using numbers and math, but also using references to the Bible to appear credible. But there's not actual qualifications or there's no actual methodology here. They weren't
see,
yeah.
This is what I'm saying. It's actually good and helpful and beneficial and not bad or unprofessional that we didn't know how to read longitude and latitude when we first started.
If anything, we're anti-colonial as a result.
Exactly.
I didn't know it because I'm a person who never took geography. I didn't know it because I have issues with azimuthal projection.
As we all should.
Yeah. But the problem is that it's not just their being wrong. This is used to justify some heinous stuff, and that's I think we have a music sting for the part where I make you all sad. We need to edit that to put the fart in at the end. Yeah. Okay.
Good. We'll never get over it.
So the thing is that geographic conspiracy theories have a bit of a connection to another movement, which we will call white nationalism. Yeah, a lot of these are invoked by conspiracy theorists. These like ideas of like ley lines and like geometric city planning are usually invoked by conspiracy theories theorists who claim that Western civilization is uniquely aligned with these mystical or divine order, and then appropriate these symbols and myths to construct narratives of a lost or threatened pure civilization, like all of these like sort of like post-lapsarian things, like you know, Graham Koch, but also like white nationalists. Mm-hmm. Even the Nazis, like they have this whole concept of like there was a time in the past where everything was perfect and good and like the world was super advanced, and now we live in sort of the shitty after times, which usually they blame on things like, you know, white people not being in control of everything at all times, and that these ancient civilizations were definitely white, like, you know, kind of like what we saw with like talks about like Atlantis and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So this is
that would have been a perfect moment for the dramatic fart. I just didn't have it queued up.
You never got to eat more fiber.
Yeah.
And so then these ideas, which have connections with these, like, as we talked about, a lot of these like pseudo-archaeological things have these like very under the surface, like very like white supremacist, neo-Nazi type connections, then get carelessly picked up by people like the History, or organizations like the History Channel and Netflix, and make things like Ancient Apocalypse or Ancient Aliens, and mainstream these, you know, fascist adjacent ideas for profit. But they can do so just enough so they could maintain plausible deniability about the political implications of what they're doing by, you know, being the top of the sales funnel where people are like, ooh, this is interesting, I'm going to look more into that. Mm-hmm. Add a few more things and you're at like January 6th or in Charlottesville or something like that. So
that's kind of close.
Yeah. Because so like that's why like this is one of the cores of like, because one of the common complaints that I'll get about doing this show is like, well, this is just fun stuff to think about. Like, why do you have to like, you know, come in and be all serious and talk about it like it's some big threat? And it's like, well, because a lot of these ideas were made by like ancient Nazis, and the thing is like you are basically like opening the gates to these like esoteric fascist ideas.
Sure.
And while, you know, not everybody will, not everybody won't. And the thing is, we've seen, like in studies of ancient aliens and ancient apocalypses audiences, you find things like that they watch other conspiracy-oriented content, but also, very often, right-wing content, which suggests that there's actually like a fairly like, you know, there's actually like a through line from like getting into conspiracy content and then going down a pipeline of like far right politics, which which I feel like we're now living in the ramifications of, not specifically just ancient aliens, but like conspiracy culture breeding right wing reactionary politics to you know, set the mood for today. Yeah, and it also like this show also is very derisive of expertise, established science, you know, all the things that we did, and that also will push people in a direction of being anti-expert, being anti-intellectual, and all of a sudden you've got a really strange guy who's now head of HHS and is letting all these people have the fucking measles and shit. It's a terrible RFK, but I hate that I have to do an RFK.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, we are all sorry that you have to do an RFK.
I'm very lucky that I was able to move my 3-year-old's vaccination schedule up so that he could get his second measles shot early, like almost a full year early.
Would RFK impact you in Canada?
Actually, sadly, there is a measles outbreak, not as big as in the U.S., not even close, but we are having an uptick in measles in Canada because Canada still has its fair share of idiots, and we also have Alberta, which is basically a traitor province that wants to become the 51st state. So, like, They are basically they're led by a premier whose name is Danielle Smith.
Is Alberta your Florida?
Not that you're not far off. Alberta is Alberta's led by this premier named Danielle Smith, and she is when all of the 51st state shit was going on, she was going down to Washington and hanging out with all the people who were chanting to annex Canada. And Alberta's having an explosion of measles cases right now. And because the Liberals won the last election and are pretty much implementing the entire conservative platform, but because they're not the conservatives, she was even starting to play with the idea of pitching Alberta separating from the country in order to basically be annexed by the United States. And every poll you see of people who are we should capitulate to Donald Trump and everything he wants, if you skew it by region, it's all in Alberta.
Way to go, Al.
And you know the reason? It's because of oil. They have oil. That's where our oil comes from.
That'll do it.
That's why, yeah.
I've had the money sound effect loaded up on here since the beginning. I don't think I've used it once.
There you go.
So thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah. That's why Canadian conservatives, more than I think even American conservatives, their main political ideology is almost anti-environment. They're the main focus that they want to do is destroy the environment. That is their, even here, even Ontario, our premier just the red Tory that runs the country, Mark Carney, they just passed a law that basically is in the name of economically fighting the United States, they passed a law that's basically going to fast track all sorts of mining and oil extraction and all this stuff, including ways to get around a part of our process here, which involves collaborating. And if you're going to build a mine somewhere, say on unceded territory that belongs to indigenous nations, you have to work with them and they have to give you permission to start a mine there. And oftentimes they'll promise jobs and all that kind of stuff, but they don't. And then they add a bunch of pollution. But
I don't know why people say this show is unfocused. I think we're doing a really good job.
I'm just talking. Yeah, Canada's fucked, and also Mark Carney sucks. Anyways, back to this. We also end up though. And this is probably an aspect we need to talk a little bit more, and I think this is where this sticks out from just Ancient Aliens. Ancient Aliens is cable TV, dinosaur, old times. Everybody's watching it's old.
Yes.
But what I opened with is that this is popular on TikTok and conspiracy TikTok, and you have now, and I think that you're no stranger to this, that in the sort of content creator sphere, that there's a lot of content creators out there who don't really care about being right or about the educational value of what they're doing. They just care about getting views for money, for number go up. And
number go up.
And this kind of content makes number go up. And so now we've had people
well then, Tristan, I'm glad we're covering it. We're gonna need our number go up fast.
Yeah. But people like Brad Lale, who has an account called The Awakened Podcast, builds audience across multiple platforms who uses.
Hold on. Hey, one second, Tristan. Can I interrupt you?
Yep.
That's not the entire title of his account. Can you read
the Awakened Podcast 33? Yeah.
It's 33. They put a 33 at the end of it. Of course they did.
They build platforms across multiple things and use these sort of mysteries as gateway content for broader conspiracy frameworks. And the problem is that compared to cable, social media has a more participatory aspect. TikTok is very it's got some of the vibes of early YouTube, where you could do replies to other TikTok videos and replies to comments, and it creates this participation in theory development, which then can build and create and amplify conspiracy theories and twist them in all sorts of directions way faster than you could see before.
Zechariah Sitchin, more like Zechariah stitching these TikToks.
Yeah, Zechariah Stitch. Yeah, Stitch incoming. Please tap on the side for X2 speed. But yeah,
Zechariah Stitch. Hold on, Zechariah Stitch incoming is actually really good.
Yeah, no one take that. That's gonna be my next TikTok account. But yeah, the thing is that this creates a sort of ARG aspect to it, where people feel like they're building on the theory and making their own discoveries, which builds a stronger psychological investment in conspiracy beliefs, which I would to say the important thing to mention on this is that is exactly how QAnon got as popular as it was.
Yeah.
Is like analyzing the Q drops led to like a whole industry of content creators who would build their own conspiracies out of the interpretations of the holy texts. And it led to like a huge proliferation of the movement, because no matter what configuration of conspiracy theories you wanted to believe in, you could find the sort of niche of people who kind of aligned with you. Yeah, and also it's impossible to keep up because the conspiracies now grow and multiply and mutate so fast that like, you know, like by the time I get back on TikTok, there's going to be someone who's like, I don't believe in germ theory. Like, I don't believe that bacteria are real.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Stuff like that. Stuff's already, man. I hate that you're right, because like, even because I don't watch TikTok, right? But my wife does, and I'll see her scrolling through, and then she'll scroll past one where like this lady is like a new mom or something, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to believe that honey, one of nature's most like natural ingredient, is bad for babies. And I'm like, oh my God, please don't do that. Please don't feed your baby honey.
Don't give your baby honey.
Please don't do that.
It's such a bad. The only thing that like was like the advice I got from a doctor that I was really like, really, this is what we have to do, is and it makes sense, but it feels wrong, which is like, how do you find out if your kid is allergic to peanuts? And it's very much like, you kind of just have to give them peanut butter and then see if they start going into anaphylactic shock.
Is your baby alive?
Like that was basically the advice. Like give him some peanut butter. If he starts like choking, take him to the hospital, and then you realize he's allergic to peanuts now. And it's like, oh shit, that's the only way you can do it. And the other thing too is that it deals with the fact that like Mount Hermon specifically, it like, first of all, just attacking all these sites to like larger conspiracies takes away indigenous connections to sacred sites, and also contributes to the cultural genocide of the people who undermine traditional knowledge systems about the area and basically decontextualizes them in the scope of some greater thing. And Mount Hermon specifically is a big problem about like claiming who was there and what happened, because, and you'll see there's a little toggle menu on the thing I sent you.
There's a little toggle,
because Mount Hermon is in a very specific location that is kind of important right now.
Okay, all right. I see on the map we've got we've got Cyprus up here, and then I also see other places labeled Syria, and also Israel is also on this.
Now, could you expect, Syria and Lebanon, both countries that Israel has bombed recently, could you see any series of process by saying, hey, this mountain is ours, by, say, being a territorial marker of Judea, and then being able to claim like, well, that means that is rightfully belonging to not the indigenous people who live there, but say to another country that claims to have claim over all of this territory, or depending upon how extreme and how intense you go, but maybe constantly justifies illegal occupation of several territories or things like that.
As a hypothetical.
Yeah.
Not great. Not good.
Yeah. And there are some like very orthodox like Zionist Jews who will like argue that because, and I will be very, very clear to say that this isn't like all Israelis. It's not even all like of like the most extreme people. There's like very, very like the very, 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 very religious will like argue that like we need to conquer this territory because this is a holy site for us, and it is part of the parcel of land promised to us by God, and so we need to have it. And it's just like, okay, but like the thing is that those extreme things will then become less extreme and eventually become secularized and then mainstreamed, and as we've seen with like the people of Gaza, where the indigenous people are being virtually eradicated, and like the West Bank, where through settlements there also. The people are being displaced and pushed out. Like this is this is part of a ongoing larger settler colonial project in the region that we don't want to add any more ammunition to. So
agreed.
What do? This is the sort of next bit where like,
what do? We still don't have
how do
a
we do
stinger
it?
for this, so I'll try. Oh yeah, that's right.
How do you move it? How do you move it?
How do you move? How do you do it? How do you
It's
move
funny.
it? How do you move your body to just do something good? How do you move the needle?
In the very little context of that clip, it sounds almost like Joe Biden saying it. Say it again.
Hold it. Yeah.
How do you move it? How do you move it?
A little bit, yeah. How do you move it?
How do you move it, Jack?
How do you move it? I'm a maverick. How do you move it? Wait, was he maverick? No, that's a different guy.
That was they used to say that about John McCain, who was a maverick by doing everything that everybody, I don't know, whatever. Go crash another airplane. He was not a good fighter pilot, is what I'm saying. Anyways, so maybe when people say things, you should ask yourself like questions like, for example, when they talk about something like a pattern, like an overarching pattern, I think the first thing you could think of is like, well, what percentage of sites fit that pattern? And very often you'll very much be like I think whenever I see something like that, I'll be like, are they drawing the pattern to fit the data, or are they choosing the data to fit the pattern? And very often in a lot of conspiracy claims, they have a preconceived conclusion they want to get to, and then they will just choose the data that fits the thing. And so you have to like really like try to think of it from the other direction.
Yeah.
And see how actually things play out.
Yeah.
And like, why are these things? What doesn't fit the pattern? Why was it excluded? That kind of thing.
Ask questions.
Exactly.
It's a big one.
When you're looking at research, and this is getting harder and harder to do online, especially because of, not only because of the nature of the internet, but also because of the nature of academia. But like, try to see if you can drill down to where peer-reviewed journals were actually involved, where researchers' institutional affiliations, there's two ways you can look for something that is like actually like, has a peer-reviewed piece of research attached to it, or another heuristic that works not as often as it should, but is decent, is looking for who the authors or proponents are working for, because some types of organizations have way more to lose by being wrong than others. Like, say, if you are a Harvard professor, if you just make shit up, you're probably going to stand more to lose in your career than if you are, say, I don't know, a New York Post headline writer.
That's fair. Yeah, I think that's always a really interesting thing to look at that goes overlooked is, like if there is a study, who funded the study, who is involved, those kind of questions are also are very interesting. Who were the researchers involved, if they've had any other previous affiliations with anything. That sort of stuff is really interesting and really like insightful, because like I don't mean to imply that you're gonna like 10 out of 10 times find like, ooh, this researcher involved with this study has some juicy background that will, that's not it. But like that stuff can happen and does show up. So
yeah,
worth a look.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is the hard part to talk about this, because the conspiracy theorists will make shit up, but also academia, science, and mainstream, like they're not 100% clean either. And so you have to really like be skeptical. And also, I feel like one of the healthiest approaches I have to a lot of things is like, there's a lot of things that like could be considered conspiracy theories that I don't necessarily believe, because I don't have any positive evidence that will point me there. But I put them on the list of things that I would say, if it turns out in the future that was the case, it would not surprise me in a little bit. Like if I had learned, that the FBI killed Martin Luther King, I would not be surprised by that. If I had learned that,
Hey, Tristan, guess what? They're apparently declassifying that to as a smokescreen for something else happening.
Well, that's the other one, is that, if I had heard that Donald Trump had Jeffrey Epstein murdered, that also would not, I would not be surprised by that. but
I'm in a similar boat. We've talked about this before because it's hard. I'm not a very conspiratorial minded person, and like off mic, I've been like, so like, what's happening with that whole situation? But I'm in a very similar place where I'm like, it wouldn't. Do I believe any sort of conspiracy thing? To be honest, I just don't know. I don't have the data.
Yeah.
But much like you, if it came out that something was one way or the other, then I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, for big claims like that, I would need to have something to believe it. Because like I could also say, like with like specifically on the Jeffrey Epstein thing, like immediately, like one of the first things I know is that when police are dealing with like with people who like are going to be arrested and put on trial for things like CSAM or like anything to do with like the sexual abuse of children, that the bridge between when like the perpetrator will be aware that they're onto them and them being arrested has to be as short as possible, because the people who are cornered in that little gap are an extraordinarily high suicide risk. And so like it is apparently very, very common that like if like say they catch like if somebody who is a perpetrator of that finds out that the police are onto them and are going to imminently arrest them, they will very often commit suicide before they get arrested. And so they try to make it as short as possible to prevent that from happening. And also there's intense like observation and stuff of those particular people when they are put in jail or in prison. So like there's also like there is a compelling story that like if you thought that all of the walls were closing in and you are accused of what is probably one of the worst crimes that a person can do, and you also know that like you have no way out, and like that like even if you go to prison, like you're going to be like marked for life by the people there, like yeah, like you could imagine I could imagine the things leading to that situation. So but so both of those stories
we're not gonna get it we can't get into it any further. The only thing I'll say on this matter, and again, stuff could be coming out, we're recording this in advance, we don't know when this is going out, but like all I will say is that even like it doesn't matter if it is a cover-up, because right now, even if it's not, they are doing everything to make it look like
the current administration is currently
the
current administration is being extraordinarily cagey about the president of the United States' connection to this person. I would be interested
anyway.
Here's my dark horse conspiracy.
Hit me.
I don't know where. Trump, there is no, or we'll find out that there is no like actual list, but part of it does implicate the president of the United States in, say, coordinating his untimely death, which could be, having a person murdered is not exactly is also a crime that somebody might.
It is a crime. Yeah. That's good to know. Thank you for that.
Don't murder everybody.
It's gonna change up. Yeah, it's gonna change up some plans I've got this weekend.
Yeah, just wait for.
Interesting.
Do you know that while we're indulging ourselves at the end of the show, you know that it's been like several days since the president has posted anything, and the last thing was around the time he announced all those health issues he has? We'll see. I'll probably be wrong. Like the time we thought that Joe Biden was dead for a few days in 2020, when he just like disappeared for like a month. Anyways, so like, maybe understand like when you find out about these things, you can look into your own things. Like one of the biggest things that debunks the 33 degrees things is just understanding map projections and coordinate systems and where they come from. It turns out that learning is fun, and do more learning whenever you come up with these things. And just like realize that a lot of content has manipulative techniques. Algorithmic amplification promotes conspiracy theories. You have to be extremely careful, especially on like things like TikTok, where now you don't even have to go and select the content. The content comes to you. And so, be careful.
That almost sounds like was it in Soviet Russia?
Yakov Smirnov.
Content, like a Yakov Smirnov sort of a thing. You don't have to find the content. The content finds you.
And on communist, in America, in American YouTube, you go to content. In communist Chinese TikTok, content come to you. or conspiracy come to you. Um,
Yeah.
So but the answer is like, be careful. It's rough out there because
Evergreen advice.
authorities are not necessary. Yeah. People who have a financial incentive to say bullshit and are now completely unchecked and even less checked than they were like a year ago, they definitely don't have any incentive to tell you the truth. The people who have an institutional vested interest in keeping themselves legitimized and legitimizing constant power over you and economic inequalities so that they're kept rich and you're kept poor definitely have a vested interest in not telling the truth to you. And so like you academia, our bastion of like truth and stuff also has all sorts of methodological problems that are causing issues as well with like replication and peer review having methodological issues. So really, there's nobody like when you're doing historical research, there is nobody that you can like 100% just say this is good stuff, accept it at face value. So you kind of have to admit you're going to be wrong sometimes, keep your wits about you, and be skeptical of pretty much everybody.
Trust no one, not even yourself.
But you know who you can trust? The only place where you can go to absorb all information at face value and you don't have to think about it twice is if you go to Probs Not Aliens on Blue Sky. I get we're not really
we never make mistakes. We never make mistakes. We definitely don't do entire episodes of corrections that people have sent in from mistakes that we've made. Couldn't be us.
Yeah, we're not on we're on Blue Sky. We're no longer posting on Mecha Hitler's platform. So
true.
There is an account there, but we don't post on it anymore. But yeah,
Blue Sky for us, for both this podcast and just each other, because Tristan, you and I have things outside of this podcast that we do.
We do.
What's something that you are up to?
At this point, I had a video that I'm working on Hindu nationalism at stepbackhistory.com, the YouTube channel I run. But the interview got delayed, so I'm now quickly putting together a video about how everyone needs to start learning French because
it's a language of love.
In the next few decades, French is going to become a much more relevant language in the world because we have about 1 billion more people left to be born on this planet Earth before we kind of hit our peak and start going down. And a good percentage of all of them are going to be in sub-Saharan Africa, and a lot of those countries are French-speaking countries. So there's going to be a lot. French is going to be a lot more popular of a language later.
All right,
Scott. Though, if I wanted to learn why Lex Luthor was destined to hate Superman in, say, the light of a new movie, where would I go to learn that?
Yes, I've done a lot of great videos about Lex Luthor. I think I did one about why he's bald. I think that's fun too. I have a YouTube channel called NerdSync, NERDSYNC. I don't even remember the video that you're referencing. I don't know what that is. But I'm sure I made it.
You're wearing a bow tie in it.
Oh, it's a tie-in video. Anyway, that was my clever pun for a series name back in the day. I make videos about comics and superheroes, and right now I'm on a Superman kick. We're in the middle of July.
It's Superman summer.
It's Superman summer. Yeah. It's crypto summer, but with a K. Not like crypto, like a Bitcoin. That's not good. We don't like that. But we do like Crypto the Super Dog, and that's cool. And he's cool. And I'm making a video right now, right after this, because that's why we're drinking. So that's why I'm drinking.
That's why he's a good boy.
Is to watch Ben Shapiro react to Superman. And spoilers, Ben Shapiro doesn't know anything about Superman's history. And so I will be debunking that. You can find that at NerdSync, like I said, NERDSYNC. You can also find this podcast on all the different platforms, including if you want to support us. You can go to nebula.tv/probably not aliens. You can also support us directly at patreon.com/probsnotaliens, where you can get episodes early and also just like join our fun Discord community and talk to us and just support the show.
Yeah, I can say
help us pay the editors.
Pay the editors, and I can also say now officially as of Friday, thanks to the patrons, that I'm going to be getting a little bit of an equipment upgrade for next recording. Hopefully, I think I have to work out all of its kinks first.
Yes, I can help you with that. You know what that means, Tristan? You will have a soundboard of your own. if you choose to use it.
There you go.
That one comes preloaded, by the way.
You never know when you're going to need that one.
That's preloaded on there. Yeah.
The other thing, though, is if you don't want to spend money, which I get because times are tough.
Times are tough. Is
that podcasts are very much still the last like non-algorithmically spread thing on the internet. So really it flourishes off of reviews. Highly reviewed podcasts do well on the leaderboards. Yes. But also the biggest one is just telling people who you think would like this show that they should check it out. Yeah. According to our Chicago Live event we did, if you are a Zoomer in the LGBTQ plus community, you are very highly likely to like this show. Which
is funny because neither of us are Zoomers.
You are part of the LGBTQ plus.
I was going to say, and only one of us is queer.
Yeah.
So as far as I know, I don't know. I'm open at least.
You know, I can't even say.
Hey, Tristan,
I am just
I've heard some really. I was gonna say I've heard people say that the A in LGBTQIA stands for ally.
Oh Jesus!
It doesn't. No. But some people say that it doesn't stand for ally.
I'm just a nice guy. Ally's not even, ally's so presumptive. I would just be like, I'm just like nice to. I just want to be nice to people.
It's so presumptive. I don't even like these guys. I'm just there.
Ally just feels like self-aggrandizing of just not. I'm just not a dick to people because they're different from me. It seems like that's such a hard thing to get. But yeah, telling your friends, putting it on USB keys and pelting it. Maybe
always recommend that.
You know, putting them say at church. I think at church there's those little things with the books. Actually, you just stick them in there.
Stick them in there. Here's the thing. I think USB keys might be out. You know what's in? The Switch 2 is in, and Switch 2 runs on micro SD express cards, and those are very expensive and in very short supply. So load up a couple of our podcast episodes on those, throw them in the streets. People with Switch 2s will need those, and they'll have some episodes of ours preloaded on there.
Listen to it while you're playing.
And that's how you get the Zoomers.
Is there a Switch 2 game yet?
There are exactly 2 Switch 2 games. There is Mario Kart World, and there's Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Yeah. Podcasts would go great with probably one of those.
One of them. Probably Mario Kart. You drive around, listen to some sick tunes of us debunking aliens stuff.
And the place you can send them is probs.aliens.com.
Absolutely. This was one of the longest outros we've ever done.
That's all right.
But that's it. Until next time, thank you so much for listening. My name is Scott Nicewander.
I'm Tristan Johnson, and the truth is out there. Probably prob.
Oh, that was good. I thought you were just going to do it 33 full times.
33 times.
I'm glad you did it with a third in there. That was good. It even probably has 3 syllables. Tristan, you're smart, man.
I'm just a nerd. No, sorry. Nerds are science people. Geeks are the ones who like comic books. I am a dork. That is the answer.